So here is God, able to tell us the future, often keeping the future out of grasp, out of knowledge for us. And to me, what that tells me is that he, again, I'll just say it again, he's not as interested in always revealing the future to us as he is in who we're becoming as we get there. That's a real key feature here when it comes to understanding God's will. God's will isn't just about the things that you could be doing and the places that you could go or the decisions that you need to make. God's will often has as much to do with who you're becoming in the process as just whatever it is that's out in front of you. And I think when we think about the future, it's even when we find out what we're going to do. Let's say you actually go to school for engineering and then you become an engineer and you find out, let's say that God does reveal something to you about what you're supposed to do, and then you find your lane and now you're doing that. It could be anything. It could be engineering, real estate, whatever. Even when you find out what you're supposed to do, it's not as though heaven just sort of rejoices that now you've become an engineer. Like that was the whole goal. Even when you find out what you were supposed to do, God still is more interested in something else. He's still interested in how you go about doing that job or fulfilling that role. In other words, he's interested in who you're becoming. He's interested in how the ethics with which you work, the way that you operate, and what kind of person you're becoming through the whole process. I think that's, for us anyway, that's probably what needs to be shaped more than anything else, is our attitude, our perspective. And I think that's why sometimes it takes so long to figure out what you're supposed to do in life. And that's because along the way, we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out who we're supposed to marry or what we're supposed to do or where we're supposed to live. And the whole time through that process, God is actually at work shaping who you are, not just what you're going to do or where you're going to go. It's who you are that he's shaping in the process. And so I think for me, as I think about this, when he's shaping these motives, he's shaping our attitude, he's shaping our perspective, then for me, when I think about all the things that I'm going through, you and I are not defined by those experiences in our past or even the things that we're going through now. We can't allow those things to define us. I'm the guy that can't get a job. I'm the person that can't have this. I'm the one that can't do this. We can't allow that to define who we are. That's not our identity, but it does shape who we're becoming. We go through those things, and God uses those things to shape or to form things within us. He uses a lot of that to actually build faith in us, to build courage in us, so that when we go through those things or a series of hardship or setback, we look back at those things and realize, or at least we're supposed to, that God had carried us through those things, and it begins to shape real faith, real courage, strength as we endure this life and all the things that we go through. So we're not defined by all the things we go through, yet God will allow them to help shape who we're becoming. So I think, and again, we'll talk about this more in the coming weeks, but acknowledging God's presence as we go through what we're going through, or as we go through life, is the single most influential element in shaping who you become. Who you become, who you're becoming, is more important than what you end up doing for a living, or who you marry, or where you end up living. The truth is, it really doesn't matter who you marry. You're going to encounter all the same selfishness that comes from within. And so sometimes we're looking for the right job. We're looking for the right person. We're waiting for all the right things to come into alignment. And it's not just those people who are looking ahead, wondering if they're going to make the right decision, afraid they might make the wrong decision. It's some people who have already taken a step of faith. They're already in a job. They're already in a marriage, and they're wondering if they've made a mistake. And the truth is, it probably, with some exceptions, obviously, because there are extremes and extenuating circumstances, but for the most part, you were probably still going to be selfish no matter who you married. You're probably still going to need to uproot some of that kind of stuff. And marriage is sort of a temporary construct anyways. When we get to heaven, I'm using this as an example. This isn't really the point of my conversation, but just as an example, it's a temporary construct anyways. Jesus says that when we get to heaven, whatever he means by this, he says that we won't be married or given in marriage. There's no sort of ongoing marriage relationship there. So it's here and now as a temporary experience to shape who we're becoming. And so I think that the emphasis for us as we look ahead and look to decisions that need to be made, we need to be actually focused more on the presence of God in our life and the shaping he wants to do in our life and be open to that. And I think it takes a lot of the angst away because now it really isn't sort of a decision about, or at least a fear of making the wrong decision or taking a wrong step or wondering if we've made the wrong decision. At this point, we just open ourselves up to saying, God, shape in me what it is you desire to shape in me. Do your work in me. And it leaves it a bit open-ended. Wherever I go, whatever I do, I pray, God, that you would be with me and help me to acknowledge your presence along the way.